In 2015 and 2016, 8 Wet Tropics cane growers from Mossman to Ingham undertook 11 trials relating to enhanced efficiency fertilisers. This video presents the outcomes and thoughts of some growers involved in the project and the results of these 11 trials.
I used custom blend 140S with and without Entec. Because of the excessively dry season, the results were negligible, only because it was so dry. In our normal seasons, the Entec would hold the nitrogen there a bit better. In the future I would use Entec, especially later on in the season, maybe the last 2 rounds, where we're getting closer to our storms, wet weather.
Our trial on our family farm was to do with comparing Entec, granular Entec, with our standard granular blend. I think the treatments ended up the same. The result was the same because of the very low rainfall we had here in the Herbert. I think I'd like to use Entec more. Cost is always a big factor, and I really think it's important that towards the later part of the year, growers should look at maybe applying the Entec, and especially when there's a forecast of a decent wet season approaching. Well, financially, you're going to get, we're hoping bang for our buck, that our fertiliser, our nitrogen remains with our plant, and therefore the plant has the benefit, and we have a successful crop at the end of that growing season. And well, for far as the environment, well, I'm hoping that the nitrogen stays where it's supposed to and keeps everybody happy.
Treatments were related to Entec, and to see if Entec benefited us to grow more cane, basically. The results were fairly close between the Entec compared to the normal fertiliser, very close. In the future, I can't see why we wouldn't use Entec. It's another farming tool that can be used like any other normal chemical on the farm. The weather plays a big role in releasing the nutrients. So we just never had the right year for the Entec to work properly, I suppose.
Now the treatments in our trial here on our southern side of town property here, we used Entec was the additive we used to the different rates of fertiliser that we applied. We used nitrogen fertiliser, and the crop grew reasonably well. We never seemed to see an issue with it, and when it was harvested it was measured, and over that trial we didn't really see any result from using Entec in it.
The treatments we tried were Entec and Agrocoat compared to their normal 140S. The results were interesting in that we didn't get much of a result. The differences were statistically unimportant. There was no difference in them at all. I think possibly because of the years we had 2 years. The 2 years we had the trials were probably the years that we didn't get sort of flooding rains at Christmas time. That's where we would expect to get some losses, and we had very mild wet seasons. And if you get a normal wet season coming in January, it's only had a month for that fertiliser to be uptaken into the cane. So I think that time of year is probably our most at risk of losing fertiliser through denitrification or volatilisation, mainly denitrification. And if we can have a slow release fertiliser at that time in that late cut stuff, I think that's the window where we'll be using slow release fertiliser and getting our best bang for the buck.